JD Vance went down to the border. Let's hear what he has to say.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. And,
good afternoon.
I appreciate you being here. It's great to be here. It's great to talk to some of the incredible people that we have, both at the local level, the Texas state level, and also, of course, our federal border patrol, who are doing so many good things to keep.
Now, Tulsi looks like. Okay.
Great to talk to some of the
Tulsi's a good-looking woman.
we have,
and like I don't know what it is, but I find that like that gray-haired streak.
I find it. Our federal border patrol.
I find it appealing.
So many good things.
I find it.
Safe.
I'm trying to be respectful.
I have some bad news and some good news. And the bad news is that because of what Joe Biden did at the southern border for 4 years, we had record.
Can't you have a little grace? Like, look, the man was losing his mind. He couldn't remember where he was. He was talking to invisible people. Have a little grace. Yes, I know he was the president, but he wasn't the president. I know that for 4 years, the country was ran by some 34-year-old White House intern who was controlling his Twitter account. I get it. But just have a little grace. Just a little grace.
Record increases in migrant crime, in fentanyl deaths, and in just floods and floods of people who shouldn't be in our country who came into the United States of America. We also have a number of
Director of National Intelligence. That's what Tulsi. I knew it wasn't Department of National Intelligence. She's the Director of National Intelligence. And I got to tell you, one of the things that really grinds my gears about JD Vance and Tulsi, like I like Tulsi Gabbard. I'm not such a big fan of JD Vance, but one of the things that really grinds my gears about the both of them is that they're like 10 years younger than me. Well, 7, 8 years younger than me. I don't like that at all. Don't like it.
Ways in which the cartels became more advanced, better war fighters because Joe Biden opened up the American southern border and allowed the cartels to turn it into their playground. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is, as President Trump said last night at the State of the Union, it turns out we didn't need new laws. We didn't need fancy legislation. We just needed a new president of the
Yes, we heard that line when Trump said it.
United States, and thank God that's
we get
exactly
it.
what
we get
have.
It. Yes, we
and
need a new president. You're not wrong.
Message that I take away from my visit here at the Texas border is the number of Border Patrol agents who have come up to me and said thank you, or said because of this we've cut the number of border crossings from 1,500 a day to 30 a day, or the people who have come up and said we've seen a reduction in 85% of the number of people who.
You know, there's a lot of anecdotal evidence, which I know, yes, it means nothing. It's anecdotal evidence, I get. But you hear these interviews, and you would hear these interviews when Biden was still in office of these. It was usually people that would speak anonymously or people that quit, but they were like guards at the border, or they worked in they worked with Border Patrol essentially, saying that like they were basically instructed to do nothing, that they were hamstrung. Their hands were tied, so to speak. And now they're able to actually kind of do their job.
Who are dying.
I understand it's anecdotal evidence, and it doesn't mean that was what everybody was going through. I get it. I get it. Just calm down. Actually, I want to change the windows on this. Wait, why can't I hear this? Oh, I need to unmute that.
That we continue to keep this border safe. That means less migrant crime. That means less fentanyl coming into our communities. That means more safety and security for the people of the United States of America. And of course, we know the border problem, the border crisis under Biden's administration was a national crisis, but it acutely affected the communities right here. And I've already heard heartbreaking stories of people who are still picking up the pieces, local mayors who are still dealing with the budgetary consequences of what the Joe Biden administration allowed to happen at the American southern border. And that, too, is something that President Trump is going to help address.
They no grace, just a little bit of, that's all I'm asking for, is a little bit of grace. Like, maybe instead of reminding us 5 times for every 2 minutes of a speech how terrible of a president Joe Biden was, maybe dial it back to like 3 times. Okay, 4 times. Just dial it back to 4 times every 2 minutes you're speaking. Just dial it back a little bit.
Help fix and help solve. Now, I wanted to bring Secretary Hegseth and Director Gabbard at DNI down here because, one, I obviously enjoy their company, and it's good to have them down here with me looking around today. But
be careful.
Unfortunately,
you're a married man.
We know that because of what's happened, the border crisis has become a matter of.
Yeah, I heard something. I read it on Twitter, which means it must be true, but I'm pretty sure that they were trolling the person who said this, but I tend to believe it, that JD Vance has tattooed eyeliner. I know he doesn't, but I'm going to choose to believe that he does. Look at his eyes. He always looks like he has eyeliner. Always. I'm going to choose to believe that he has tattooed eyeliner.
National intelligence, and it's also become something that requires the Department of Defense to engage with. I was talking with Paul Perez earlier. The drone technology that the cartels are using requires, unfortunately, a military response and military support. So it was important for Secretary Hegseth to see what's going on, because we know that the millions and millions of people who were let in over the last 4 years, many of them are connected to foreign terrorists. It's important for our leader of national intelligence to get a sense of what's here on the ground. So before we take questions from the press, and all of us are willing to take questions, I want to give Secretary Hegseth and then Director Gabbard an opportunity to say a few words themselves. Mr. Secretary.
Okay. We're going to time this. How long into, well, Hegseth, I don't know if Hegseth will be as bad. Like, who's the one, like, Hegseth is not the, or maybe he is. No. Who is the guy that's like very like good old country boy? Like, you know, he was the guy who confronted AOC at a Senate hearing. He's like, well, crossing the border is a violation of Federal Penal Code 35-2. If you want to seek asylum, then you come in through it. It's like, who's that guy? What's that guy's name? Oh, man. I don't think it's Hegseth. No, that's not him.
Well, Mr. Vice President, thank you very much.
No, that's not Hegseth. Who is the guy I'm talking about? He might be the director of the Border Patrol or something like that. Oh, who is he? Border Patrol director. Is it Pete Flores, acting commissioner of U.S. Customs Border Control? I'll recognize it as soon as I see his picture. That's not him. That's definitely not him.
Much for inviting us. It's great to be here with you, with the director, with our fellow friends in civilian clothes and in other shades of green. This is a demonstration
AOC, immigration,
of a true partnership on the southern border, as President Trump has made clear on the campaign trail and from day one and last night.
I think this is the guy.
You know, much of the work of this on deaths, Chavez and
the area that I work, it's 4 or 5 days for most people to get to
disclosed associated data.
I think AOC, and this is not going to be a popular opinion, but I think AOC, if she's going to run for president, she needs to do it soon. She needs to do it within the next, let's see, 2028 might be too soon, but you know, a lot can happen in 4 years. I would say 2028, 32, 34, or sorry, 36. After 2036, that ship has sailed for her. I'm not going to say why, because I'll get in trouble. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Border security is national security. And
here it is, Tom Homan, this guy. I think,
on how
this guy.
Secure the border and save lives.
But it says here that you gave her numerous operations.
What I'm saying,
Thomas Homan.
Defense Department, we've watched
That's the guy I'm
a couple
thinking
of decades other people's borders being secured while ours was open for an invasion of drugs and of violence and of chaos for American communities. That stops under President Trump. And the Defense Department has assets that we can bring to bear, not just troops, not just surveillance, not just equipment.
35.
But actual planning and capabilities
it's gotta be
that
soon.
enhance
It's gotta be soon.
what Border Patrol is already doing, which is why it's been incredible to hear from our partners about what we've been able to allow them to do, facilitate them. And we've seen it in the numbers. 98% drop in crossings on the southern border. We're not yet at 100% operational control, but we are on our way because that is the mandate that the president has given us. So more resources are coming to this border. We are dedicated
She's a
to
Catholic.
securing it. That's the reason
I know
for
she
our
has a
trip and our
long-term
partnership.
boyfriend, but did
and I
she
want to
get
thank
married?
all the men and women who've been doing it recently in uniform,
All right.
who have been doing it a long
Cortez says she'd be
time,
an SA,
right here,
that
have dedicated their
May.
lives to securing the American people.
blah.
And at the Defense Department, we are committed to continuing to being a big part of it. So, Mr. Vice President, thanks for having us.
Absolutely, man.
Appreciate
Thank you.
Her wiki page says her wiki page, the section of personal life. Am I just not seeing it? After her grandmother moved to Florida. Okay, after the death of her father in 2008, her mother and grandmother moved to Florida due to financial hardship. She still has family in Puerto Rico. Okay, she has some. Okay, she's a Catholic. She's discussed her faith. Blah blah blah. During the 2018 campaign, she resided in the Bronx with her partner, web developer Riley Roberts. Okay, they became engaged April 22nd in Puerto Rico. Okay.
Great. Now, Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, for your leadership in bringing.
Okay, so I know that the other guy, he definitely mentioned, like I heard, like, you know, that we had a porous border. How long until she mentions what Biden did? Or let's keep it simple. Will she mention what Biden did?
The country's attention to what has been happening here at the border and the significant change that has already occurred under the short time that President Trump has been in office.
If there's no fentanyl,
really what you're seeing here today and what you'll
if there's no
continue
fentanyl
to see
in New
is a
York,
unified
what other
effort
local
across
delicacies
President Trump's
can
national
people
security
do?
team, the Department of Homeland Security.
Come on, a guy's gotta have a
our
good time,
mission,
right?
Which is to ensure a safe, free, and prosperous society for Americans.
Wait, AOC is engaged to a ginger? Really? Oh, she's way too pretty to be engaged to a ginger. No. Really? Is he a ginger? There's no way that AOC is engaged to a ginger. I was going to say a gender. I mean, she is. He is a ginger, isn't he? Oh, my stars and garters. Oh, look at that. He is a ginger. Oh.
As Director of National
She needs a new boyfriend before she runs for president. Just saying. Not sure. Haven't seen that name in a while. How you doing, Not Sure? Hi, friend. Hi, Not Sure.
Intelligence.
Good to see you.
There are a number
Haven't
of
seen you in a
areas
while.
where we are focused. The president talked about in his speech, over 21 million people have come.
I'm sorry, Gabby. I'm sorry, Tulsi. But I'm still harping on the fact that AOC, cutie patootie AOC is engaged to a ginger. Okay.
Come across our borders illegally under Joe.
You know what? Everybody has their own type. It's just I never thought that somebody's type could be wrong, but you learn something new every day.
Biden's administration. There are many.
She just said it. Biden's administration. I'm not even sure what she said. I lost the context, but of course they had to mention again. Just have a little grace. Like Vance mentioned Biden and how terrible of a president he was. He mentioned it like 6 times. And then Hegseth mentioned it at least once, probably 3. And now Tulsi has to mention. Like, just a little grace to you all. Like, just a little.
Of them that we don't know who they are. They have not been vetted. We don't know where they are. I'll give you one quick example of one of the problems that we are getting after. From Central.
Okay, one of the problems that they're getting after. This has to be like, she started off, from Central, I think she's going to say from Central Africa. From Central Africa, the Biden administration allowed tons of immigrants to flow through the southern border, something like that. It has to be Biden. Has to go back to Biden. Let's see.
Asia, there were over 4,000 people who came across our borders using an ISIS-affiliated network.
Okay.
Our National Counterterrorism Center went through and identified those individuals. There were hundreds of them who were either known terrorists or associated with known terrorists. That information was provided to the Biden administration. You may remember in some of the news, a little over 100 of those people were arrested in 2024. Of those who were arrested, Only 8 were either deported or remained in custody.
That is kind of disgusting. If true and if valid, that's pretty disgusting. That's pretty disgusting. But could it also be, and hear me out. Of those who were arrested, did she say let's listen to it again.
Arrested in 2020 with known terrorists. That information was provided to the Biden administration. You may remember in some of the news, a little over 100 of those people were arrested in 2024.
Okay.
Of those who were arrested,
8.
Only 8 were either deported.
So could it be, so they're identified as a terrorist and over 100 of them are arrested. And I think this is probably what it is. I bet it is a lack of government agencies at the federal level, the state level, the local level, sharing information. And and I'm just throwing out 3-letter agencies. I don't know if this is how it works, but if, let's say the CIA puts not sure on the terrorist, like the not sure is a terrorist, if the CIA says that, and then not sure gets arrested in Miami-Dade County down in Florida because he's like, checking out the ladies on the street when he shouldn't be, asking them inappropriate questions. Is the Miami-Dade County police, when they process not sure, are they actually going, like, is it going to come up in their computer that, the CIA has marked him as a terrorist? And if he doesn't, then if all he's done has been arrested for a misdemeanor or whatever, and they let him go, that's not malice. That's incompetence.
Or remained in custody.
It's not even necessarily it's incompetence at a large level because the systems should be talking to one another. I suspect they're not. So it's incompetence at a government, at an institutional level. You want to talk about institutional racism? We need to tackle institutional incompetence. That, I think, is probably a bigger problem.
Only 8. The rest of them were released back into our country. Where are they? What are...
Not sure says, I don't think DNI is usually a public figure. Oh, the DNI, the Department of National Intelligence, or the Director of National Intelligence. You're probably right. I can't remember ever hearing of one. I think we need the Army on the Canadian border.
What are they doing? What may they be plotting? This is just the beginning. There are many, many areas that we need to stay very focused on, working with Department of Homeland Security, working with the FBI to ensure that we're keeping the American people safe. Our Counterterrorism Center is working on making sure that we have that single source for vetting so that we can figure out who is actually in our country and identify those who pose a threat and get them removed.
Right, but this is part of the problem with having a nation where each state is kind of its own nation. It's very interesting. Like when you travel, or when, like, I have a lot of friends who aren't American, a lot of friends outside of the United States and you'll get asked questions like, "Oh, what's the driving age in the United States?" Or you'll get asked those things like that. You'll get asked questions about laws and stuff like what is it in the United States, and it varies per state, which is something that, like, a lot of people, like, what's the tax? Oh, what's the sales tax in the United States? Well, it depends. It depends on the state. What's the property tax? What's the income tax? Well, it all depends. It depends on the state. It depends on where you live. What state? That's not really a concept in, like, Finland or France. And so I think in those countries, it's probably easier to have these national systems, where if you get arrested, then your name goes into this database, and that's where you would be that's where it would come up that you've been flagged as a terrorist. Whereas in the United States, where each state has, like, its own system and its own way of doing things, well, maybe not. Not sure says, are we coding tonight? You missed it. You missed the coding, man. We're on to reading the news now, or listening to the news.
The president's designation of the cartel,
we'll be coding tomorrow.
Terrorist organizations falls directly in.
I think I'm going to do some drinking tomorrow. We'll do some drunk coding tomorrow.
to this, especially as we're seeing some of the tactics that these cartels are using reflect some of the tactics that we've seen used by Islamist terrorists in countries that many of us have served in.
Wait, what was that?
Overseas.
Islamist? Did she say? I think she's. What was that?
Islamist terrorists cartels are using reflect some of the tactics that we've seen used by Islamist terrorists in countries that many of us have served in. The tactics that we've seen used by Islamist terrorists in countries that many of us.
Is that a word? Islamist terrorist? Islamist. Islamist meaning. Islamist is a word. An advocate or supporter of Islamic fundamentalism. I didn't know that. A person who advocates increasing influence of Islamic law. Okay.
Have served in
I learned
overseas. Something. Our mission is very clear. Our objective is to keep the American people safe. I'm great.
Not sure says, I'm building a make file and it's stuck at 90%. Building a make file.
Like to be a part of this team that President Trump has assembled to accomplish that.
Why?
Mission. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, we can do some C# drunk coding tomorrow, Rasman.
So before I take questions, let me just say two final things. First of all, the reason why we've seen, as Pete said, a 98% reduction of border crossings, the reason why this particular site has gone from over 1,500 crossings per day to 30 crossings per day is because President Trump has empowered and, in fact, demanded that his whole government take the task of border control seriously. And that's exactly what we're doing. And of course, and this leads to my final point before we take questions.
I didn't not sure it says Islamists. I thought she made a slip up. I thought like, oh, this is going to be something where somebody's going to be like, oh, look at Tulsi, look how stupid she is making up words. No, it's a real word. Well, yeah, it's a real word. Islamist. I'm going to have to start using that. So then somebody can be like, what is that word? It's Islamic. And I'm going to be like, no, it's Islamist.
It is impossible to do without the men and women on the ground who are actually doing the hard work. They just want to be empowered to do their jobs. President Trump has made that possible. So from the bottom of my heart and for a grateful nation, to every person I've met here today, thank you for working hard on the American people's business. It's been an honor to be with you. It's been an honor to see what you do. And we're going to keep on supporting you over the next 4 years. Congressman Gonzalez, thank you for being here and thank you for your leadership.
What's your project? Not sure. Send the link. Send the link to the GitHub.
So, as you guys have been exemplifying for today, that border crossings are down. As you guys have been exemplifying for today, that border crossings are down. A lot of attention has been turned to the interior, since obviously there's been a lot of illegal immigrants. What is, in your opinion, the biggest obstacle to actually carrying out President Trump's mass deportations? Even though, yes, like apprehensions and
this reporter asking this question sounds like he's 12 years old. No, he sounds like he's like 14, 15 years old. Like he started puberty, but he's still in that very awkward stage where, you know, he still has like the boyish qualities, but he's like tall and lanky. That's what this report, I would be surprised if this reporter is older than like 16 years old.
Arrests and deportations have gone up in his first month, but a lot of people are expecting a bigger capacity for deportation. So what's
not sure it says building it from GitHub. You're building so you're building a project in GitHub, like in GitHub Actions. Push the speaker button. This one. JD Vance is such a politician. That's true.
So let me say a few things about that. So
I don't like that he's 40 years old. And honestly, that is one of the reasons that I will not vote for him in 2028, because he is obviously running. There's many reasons I'm not going to vote for him in 2028, but the main one is that he's younger than me.
First of all, Rome wasn't built in a day, and we have seen
I'm installing
significant increases in
radio
deportations and apprehensions and arrests. But we have to remember that President Biden gutted the entire immigration enforcement regime of this country. We are trying to rebuild so that we actually empower people to enforce the immigration laws of the American people. It is common sense. It's what the American
GNU Radio is a free and open source signal processing runtime, an open source signal processing runtime and signal processing software development toolkit. Okay. All right.
American people want us to do. There are a couple of other things that we're working on. I don't want to get ahead of any public announcements, but
Yes.
one of the ways that
Don't
we
do
want to make sure that we're enforcing our border is that we make
Enforcing? Wait a minute. Did he say enforcing?
That we wanted to make sure that we're enforcing our border.
He did.
Announcements, but one of the ways that we wanted to make sure that we're enforcing our border.
Enforcing. I think he said like enforcing our border. Okay, Mr. Enforcing. JD Vance, the enforcer.
Is that we make it easier for people who are here illegally to go back home of their own accord.
No idea what this
we don't
is.
want to have to go around and arrest every person, but we will enforce the American people's immigration.
No, we will enforce the people's immigration
laws. If you're here illegally, the message from our administration is you should go back home, and if you want to come to the United States, apply through the proper channels.
All right, that's a fair
an
message.
Important thing that we're doing.
Nothing
and the
wrong
final
with that
thing
message.
is this costs money.
Very, very reasonable.
One of the most important parts of the president's reconciliation priorities is, of course, tax reform on the one hand, and on the other hand, making sure that we get proper resources so that we can pay for the flights, and we can pay for the detention centers, and we can pay for all the components necessary to ensure.
Well, all that money Doge is saving us. I mean, it sounds like everything that Doge is doing is it's saving tons, right? We're going to be able to pay for it with all that Doge money.
That we're re-migrating illegal immigrants back to their country of origin. I guarantee it is a part of the president's priorities. We'll keep on working on it. We've made a lot of progress, but we're going to keep on working on it over the remainder of the president's term.
Let's do it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Vice President, I want to ask you about border wall and tariffs, but first on the border wall.
Okay.
How do you and the president...
Could you say your outlet, by the way, when you guys ask questions?
Yeah, Reagan Reese, Daily Caller.
Thank you.
How do you and the president define success this term with the border wall, and how much of the southern border wall needs to be walled off before Trump leaves office?
All of it. All of it. No, not all of it.
Well, look, I think the president's hope is that by the end of the term, we build the entire border wall. And of course, that's the physical structure of the border wall itself. But we even heard today, there are so many good technological tools, so many great artificial intelligence enabled technologies that allow us, for example,
there's a lot of wall.
There's
a lot of land.
Not a person, but a camera picks up somebody 2 miles away who's about to come across the southern border. Maybe it's livestock, right? Maybe it's a critter in the desert.
No, we need to stop the immigration of livestock as well. If you're a bird and you want to come into the United States, you go through a border. You go through a border crossing. File the proper paperwork for a bird.
Maybe it's a human being with a weapon on their back. We're using artificial intelligence to make us better at the job of border enforcement.
Could be.
But we've got to make sure that technology is deployed across the entire American southern border.
Unofficial.
We're going to do it as much as we can, as broadly as we can, because that's how we're going to protect
see
the
how
American
much
people's
wall.
security.
You know what? Wait, I have a better idea.
Yeah, go ahead.
Last time they were...
Like, if we really want to save money on the wall, instead of trying to get into all these little crevices, what we do is we can just, you know what? I have a great idea. We'll just do this. Right? We'll go from here. Let's see. We'll go from here. We'll just have one right there. And basically, what this is doing, this is because in order to get into all these little crevices to build a wall that's like the shape of the actual border, that's a ton of wall you have to build, right? That's like a lot of wall. If instead we just tell people, like, look, if you live below this line, move. And if you don't move, well, welcome to Mexico. Like, I say we just cede this land to Mexico. We just give it back to Mexico. Just be like, hey, it's yours. Obviously, we can get a little bit closer. Maybe we want to keep San Diego. We can get a little closer to the border, but we just give that back. Just give that. Just give it to Mexico and just tell them, like, yeah, like, no, like, yeah. That you get what I'm saying, right? You get it, because that's going to be a lot less wall. If you just build a straight wall, that's it. That's the wall now. And that's the new southern border. Just build a solid wall right there. This is the second time the install got stuck. It ran out of memory 2 times now. Swap file is maxed out. I have no idea. Well, like, signal processing, like, what is it processing? Signals of what? GNU Radio is a free open source software development toolkit that provides signal processing blocks to implement software radios. Okay. It can be used readily available low-cost external RF hardware with readily available low-cost external RF hardware to create software-defined radios. I think the word radio has thrown me off. Like I'm thinking like an old school like AM FM radio, but I assume this is just talking about some device that can pick up radio waves. Or without hardware in a simulation-like environment. It is widely used in hobbyist, academic, and commercial environments to support both wireless communication research and real-world radio systems.
Pause because they deployed 10,000 troops to the border. What can they do this time to make the tariffs go away?
Well, what the president has said is we need a sustained commitment from the government of Mexico to take the job of border security.
Now, look, I kind of support the tariffs. Like, I kind of do. I probably don't know enough to really have an educated opinion on the tariffs, which is why I am that's why I'm talking on the internet and not running the country. But I think it was a bad already today. Didn't Trump say he was going to delay? I'm pretty sure Trump said he was going to delay the tariffs for like we're going to delay the tariffs for a month. We're going to give Canada and Mexico 1 month to come around. Oh, no. Oh, dear. Oh, my gosh. Okay, I'm just looking at the news. Okay, so first of all, I am correct. Trump, Mexico tariff pause, education. So Canada's tariffs to remain. Oh, wait, Canada's? So wait. Canada's tariffs to remain despite Trump postponing tariffs on many imports from Canada. So we're basically giving a big old finger to Canada, but Mexico, we love you. We'll give you another month. Okay, but the other thing that jumped out, so SpaceX, they had a rocket testing failure. How long, if it hasn't happened already, how long until you're hearing like, Elon, you're going to, it wouldn't be Trump. I don't know why I'm trying to do it in the Trump voice, but you're going to be hearing like, Elon Musk can't even launch a rocket into space. And you want to trust him going through your personal data? You want to trust him building a car that drives itself? Like that is going to happen. It's going to happen.
Security seriously. Fentanyl is the single largest cause of death among young Americans, and we know that a substantial portion of it is, the precursors are made in China.
Yes.
They come to Mexico. They're manufactured in Mexico and brought across the border by the Mexican drug cartels. We want to see fewer Americans dying of these terrible fentanyl overdoses. We're going to apply as much leverage as possible to the Mexican government as possible. In some ways. Look, the president obviously cares deeply about the American people.
I'm going to guess that one of the precursors to fentanyl are poppies. Isn't that what it is? Oh, wait, is it poppies? No, it's not poppies. It's the other one, the heroin, the one. Oh, the hair. What's the plant that the heroin's made from? I can't remember the name. This is part of my memory just completely going. I'm literally searching heroin plant, and I still. This is not okay. Poppy plants. Okay, so I wasn't completely wrong.
He serves the American people first. I actually think he's doing a huge favor to the people of Mexico, because if they don't get control of these cartels, the people of Mexico are going to wake up in a narco state where the cartels have more power than their own government. President Trump is trying to help. The Mexican government needs to take this issue of immigration enforcement seriously.
Well, okay, so Not Sure says no, fentanyl is synthetic. Yes, fentanyl is synthetic, but okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, because I was going to say, well, it has to come from somewhere, but it could come from plastic, and then they just reconstitute it and do stuff with it, and now suddenly it's fentanyl. I was getting ready to ask Grok, like, how could I make fentanyl at home? But I realized that probably talking about that on YouTube stream, I probably shouldn't have even just said that. But it's okay. I have a small audience, and so I can kind of get away with a little bit more because nobody's watching.
in the back. Yeah.
Mr. Vice President, Ali Bradley, News Nation. So since the designation of the cartels as terrorists, does that give the United States the green light to go into Mexico and to strike them there? I mean, right now, obviously, they've struck in the...
Obviously, it doesn't. I think he's probably going to say... He's not going to answer the question. He's going to say any incursion into a sovereign nation's territory has to be taken with great care. And obviously we would prefer to work with Mexico before going into their country to apprehend any cartel. But should Mexico not do what we are asking them to do, or should not be able to do it as well, then we will take the steps necessary to protect Americans. That, I think, is going to be the answer. I kind of wish the answer was like, we're going in. We're going to go in and we're going to eliminate them all.
Houthis in Yemen. So why not, when we've seen cross-border violence, go after them in Mexico? And then my second question is about a designation. I'll follow up on these.
Well, go ahead and ask the second question.
Why isn't the Juarez/La Línea cartel designated when it's in one of the most deadliest places on the planet?
La Línea cartel.
Juarez has been designated as one of the deadliest cities. It's right across from El Paso. We've talked to community leaders. They say, we know Juarez cartel's operating in the U.S., and so are their affiliates. We don't even want to talk about it out loud, though, because then we'll put a...
Okay, so La Línea is the leading faction of the Juarez cartel. It's the leading faction. So how does that work? You have one huge cartel and factions inside. I don't understand.
Target on our back. They're scared. Border Patrol
Not sure it
thought
says
they were
report
designated, but they're
it.
not.
Report it.
So
I'm going to
we're
report
looking
you.
at additional organizations. Obviously, this is the determination of whether to determine a particular organization, a terrorist organization, is something that we consult with our leaders of the Department of Defense. We also consult with our friends in other governments.
Yes.
We maintain the optionality to designate further organizations, terrorist organizations, if we feel that we need to, in order to protect the American people. And I think President Trump has made it
that's basically the answer I gave. I could have been vice president.
Very clear. He's not going to be shy about designating some of these cartel organizations as terrorists if he thinks he has to protect the American people.
Again, I have a bias. I've said this before. I have a bias where I will lean about 60% in favor of Trump. 60%. 60% of the time, I will be in favor of Trump. This is one of those 60%. Like this whole designating cartels as terrorist organizations and going after them as such, completely for it. Unless, of course, you are a cartel member listening to this stream, in which case I support you.
Your first...
Vayos con Dios, mi hombre, mi hermano.
First question was about...
American forces to strike...
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Wait.
American...
Your first question
wait.
about...
Okay, listen to this. The audio gets quiet and JD Vance freezes. This is like... It's like we caught a glitch in the Matrix on camera. Look at this. Look, I'm gonna play this again. Watch this. Watch.
He thinks he has to protect the American people.
Okay.
Your first question was about
American forces.
Look, that is so like literally the audio gets quiet and he's just frozen. I'm gonna do one more time.
Your first question was about
American forces to strike.
What is that?
So look, I'm not going to make any announcements about any invasions of Mexico here today. The president...
Not sure says, I feel like my build computer has diverted power from life support to the engines. Haven't seen the screen change in a while now. Uh-oh.
Has a megaphone, and of course he'll speak to these issues as he feels necessary. But what designating cartel organizations allows us to do is to deploy
invade
the full
Mexico.
Resources of the United States military to engage in serious border enforcement. Of course, the president is going to make the determination about how we deploy those forces. But our hope is
that we're going to invade Mexico. It's going to be the 52nd state right behind Canada.
that Mexico takes this job seriously. We don't want to have negative relationships with the Mexican government.
No, we don't.
We want the Mexican government to help
I like their
itself,
food.
but also in the process to help the American people by taking these organizations seriously.
Good.
It's going to destabilize the entire country of Mexico, the entire government, if they don't take it more seriously. We're hopeful that they will. And if they don't, then of course, we'll figure out what to do from there.
Thank you.
So, you just mentioned something about invasion of Mexico. Is there any
That's what I'm talking about. Invasion of Mexico. Let's do it. Let's do it.
talk or any thoughts about actually U.S. military forces going into Mexico?
No. Next question.
Oh, that's disappointing. That's disappointing. Wait. So the and wait, let's.
U.S. military forces going into Mexico?
No.
Is there any talk about U.S. military forces going to Mexico? And Vance takes glee. Vance gleefully dismisses the question. No. Gleefully dismisses the question. Which honestly, I mean, if Vance said, first of all, let's imagine we're 3 years in the future where Vance is running for president, and by this time he's just talking like Trump, and he's like, the cartels continue to be a problem. If I'm elected president, I am going to invade Mexico, and it's going to be the 67th state. Because by then we will have 66 states.
Next question.
On tariffs, are any other industries other than automotive reaching out to you guys to carve out special deals? And did the automotive industry know this was coming before today?
Well, a number of industries have reached out to us to ask us for exceptions to the tariffs, but I think the president's been very clear here that he wants the tariffs to apply broadly. He doesn't want to have 500 different industries getting 500 different carve-outs, and the way to avoid application of the tariffs
I don't want that either.
is to have your factory and have your facility in the United States of America. That is the way. Invest in America. That is how you will avoid being penalized by these tariffs.
Vice President, case at 12.
Look at this. I do not have a lot of followers on Twitter. I don't. I don't. I have, I think, like less than 20. Let's find out. I don't want to browse away from this page, but I want to show you this. I want to show you. When Elon bought Twitter, I believed that, I thought at least, I have 39 followers. I have more than I thought. But I thought Elon was supposed to get rid of all the bots on Twitter. I am convinced, like, I made this post earlier, like about the live stream. It's got 8 likes, but every like is like every account is the same thing. It's like some attractive girl just sitting there, like, oh yeah, I'm just a hottie on Twitter, just like browsing around Twitter. Oh, geez, I just wish some guy would talk to me. Like that is and that's pretty much every follower I have. That I mean, and you know, I could believe that I am just that awesome and that good looking that these girls with these accounts like, oh my God, he's so cute. I gotta follow him. Like I could believe that, but I'm pretty sure they're just all bots. Charlotte Harper, Hikaru Cutie, Grace VTuber, Flora Zoe. These are bots. And they have names like Flora Zoe 009. Passionate, like let's look at this. Passionate graphic designer bringing creativity to life through innovative designs from logos to full. So this is spam. They just joined in 2025. And I refuse to believe this is a real account. It's a bot. They're bots. Not Sure says, Vance is a guy that thinks he's smarter than he actually is. Man, I don't get that impression from him necessarily. He is a good speaker. He speaks clearly. I would say he is a better speaker than Trump, but that's not the highest of bars. Well, actually, it depends. It depends. Because people say that Trump is a bad speaker, but it depends. Are you measuring it as a politician? Because yes, then Trump is a terrible speaker. He is not a good speaker as a politician. Or are you measuring his speaking ability as an entertainer? Because he is a funny guy. I'm sorry, Trump He's not the best speaker, but he is an entertaining speaker. And I think that has a lot to do with why he became president. He is an entertaining speaker. Vance is very much a cookie cutter, straight arrow, right down the line, only does missionary kind of like politician guy.
John Paul Barajas, you've been talking about...
Not Sure says 100% of my Twitter followers are bots. Well, you know what, Not Sure? Send me your Twitter name and I'll follow you. Follow me and I'll follow you. And then that way, each of us will have at least one user that's not a bot. If someone only has retweets, then they are a bot. Yes.
The improvements that your administration has done here with the
Wait,
crossing...
I missed this question. What was it?
Avoid being penalized by these tariffs.
Vice President, KSAT 12, John Paul Barajas, you've been talking about the improvements that your administration has done here with the crossings. Can you talk about the decline prior to President Trump taking office under the Biden administration?
Fair question.
I think like so many Americans, apparently members of the Mexican drug cartel figured out in November and December after the election that Joe Biden was asleep at the wheel and they had to be dealing with the then president-elect and now president. If you look at what drove the decline...
I mean, Joe Biden wasn't just asleep at the wheel. He was asleep everywhere. Like, I'm convinced that like he wore sunglasses because he was just constantly sleeping. Not Sure says, I never should have compiled this library. I messed up. Yes, you probably did.
Before the inauguration, people will tell you they knew that Donald Trump was coming back into office. They knew he was going to take border enforcement seriously. And so they were already getting ahead of actually cutting down those illegal crossing numbers. We saw that from the Mexican government, of course, because we were threatening some economic sanctions against them. But we also saw it from the cartels themselves. And even today, because, of course, it doesn't... it takes a little time to get from the deepest parts of Central America to the American southern border. What we often find is that there are massive numbers of illegal immigrants who have already started to make the trek and have decided, you know what, because Donald Trump's president, we're going to go back home. We heard today about a Honduran group of migrants who decided they're just going to go back home because they recognize that under Donald Trump's leadership, we take border enforcement seriously. Thank you all. Take care.
All right, that's fair. I'm sorry. I'm a little distracted. I just got a message. Oh, geez. Oh, wait. Whoa. Okay. No. All right, I gotta quit this. Let me quit this. All right. Okay. So I kind of tapped out at the end there. Sorry, I got completely distracted. I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm real sorry. Trump signs a host of executive orders. Was this today? No, that's a month ago. All right. In that case, let's move on to the other thing. Wait. Not Sure says stupid laptop only has 8 gigs of RAM. Wait. 8 gigs of RAM? Why are you trying to I want to show you this. This thing. This is a nice little laptop. So the story behind this laptop. So I don't have my MacBook here. Right? This is like, it folds and it becomes like a tablet kind of thing. I don't think it has any battery. I was in Iceland. This was, I think, 2023. My wife and I, we went to Iceland for Christmas. And we went to Iceland for Christmas and I took my Mac, and I am addicted to the computer. I just am. I have been for years. I'm going to die addicted to the computer. It at some point in life, you just got to accept who you are. And I have accepted that I am just addicted to the computer. And so I took my MacBook to Iceland. We were there for like, I think 10 days. And about 3 days into it, I spilled water on my MacBook. And at first I thought I was going to survive. I was like, oh, okay, it's still working. Oh my God, it's still working. And then I went to bed that night and I turned it on the next morning and it wouldn't turn on. So I was in Eastern Iceland. Now, I don't know if you know anything about Iceland, but Eastern Iceland there's nothing there. There's nothing in Eastern Iceland. Reykjavik is on the west coast over here. We were over here in this town. We were outside of Hoffen, but we were headed to the east, and then we were going to circle back over to Reykjavik. This was in the winter too. This was in like I said, it was Christmas, and so actually we were like around here. This is where Diamond Beach is. Diamond Beach is around here. We were at Diamond Beach when I spilled water on my laptop, and then it stopped working. And I was like, how am I going to survive another 7 days, like a whole week without a computer? I still had my phone. I still had my iPad, but I didn't have a computer. So I went to the only computer store, I went to the computer store in Hoffen, and I first was like, hey, do you think you'd be able to repair my MacBook? No, sorry, I can't, like they just didn't have the expertise. Hoffen are, as they call it, like literally it's pronounced literally this town, it's a tiny little town. So I was like, well, what computers do you have that I could buy? And he sold me this. It cost me about $900. It wasn't it was basically to get my fix is what this was. Like if you're like I don't even know if I should say this on YouTube, but if you're like a heroin addict and you're used to the good stuff, and then but suddenly you're out and all you have is like your buddy from high school who just gets like garbage stuff, and when you're desperate, that's what you do. This has 16 gigs of RAM. I bought this out of desperation in rural Iceland, and this has 16 gigs of RAM. How do you only have 8 gigs of RAM in your computer? That's disgusting. Matter of fact, get out of here. You don't even belong here. Get out. I would ban you from my chat room if I could. Razman says, I feel sad that there's not going to be military action. I am too. I kind of would like to see us invade Mexico. Not really. Okay, I don't know. Stop. I'm trying to pause. Okay, so this was a video. I haven't watched this yet, but I believe it's about Russia. This video, I guess, kind of resurfaced recently because it's about Russia, and this, of course, is the beloved big-eared Obama, who was talking about Russia back in 2014. So I'm curious, and people were kind of like, this was kind of not a got you, but a gotcha, kind of a gotcha. Kind of how like when people were saying that, why can't I speak? They were saying that Trump and Vance were being like, well, why didn't you? Well, they were being, I don't know what the word is, but they were being angry to Vance, or not to Vance, but to Zelensky because, well, why can't you say thank you? You haven't said thank you once. And then come to find out that like 2 years prior, Biden actually also got angry at Zelensky for the exact same reason, basically saying the exact same thing, that Zelensky did not seem grateful. But anyway, so this is something similar, I think. Let's check it out. Let's see what this is. This is about 3 minutes long.
Our number one geopolitical foe. The truth of the matter is that. Oh wait,
let's back up. We didn't hear that.
With respect to Mr. Romney's assertion that.
So is this a debate? This was posted? Well, this is posted too. What is this? President Obama's 2014 remarks about Russia on the evening edit. I don't know what the evening edit is.
Russia's our number one geopolitical foe.
Not sure says that his laptop is a Dell Inspiron 15, one step above a Hyundai laptop. Dell Inspiron 15. $8 gigs, half a terabyte.
The truth of the matter is that America's got a whole lot of challenges.
Yes.
Russia is a regional power that is threatening some of its immediate neighbors, not out of strength, but out of weakness. Ukraine has been a country in which Russia had enormous influence.
Okay.
For decades, since the breakup of the Soviet Union.
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't Ukraine a Soviet Union nation? Wasn't it? I honestly, I don't know enough. I don't know anything about Ukraine. I mean, I do feel that I know probably more than like those random millennials on the street that they always interview about like how many states are in the United States, and they'll say, I don't know, 19, and then the guy says yes. Because I can locate Ukraine on the map. I don't think they could. But in terms of like, I'm pretty sure it was its own, wasn't it an oblast of Russia? Let's see, foreign, 19th, 20th century, World War II, post-war Soviet Ukraine. The republic was heavily damaged by the war. We're talking about World War II here. Following the death of Stalin, blah, blah, blah. Independent. Gorbachev pursued a policy of limited liberalization to a public life known as perestroika, and attempted to reform the stagnating economy. It later failed. So this doesn't tell me if it was you know what? I'm just going to ask Grok. Okay, let's see. Where's Grok? Here we go. Okay, actually, I prefer Grok.com, but we'll just ask this. Was Ukraine part? I'm pretty sure it was part of the USSR. If so, when did it gain its independence? All right, let's see. Ukraine was part of the USSR, became one of the founding republics of the USSR. It became one of the founding republics of the USSR December 30th, 1922. Okay, I don't want to go back that far. Ukraine gained its independence from the USSR October 24th, 1991. So probably around the time that the USSR kind of dissolved. I don't want to say fell because I don't know. That sounds different. It sounds like when you say the government fell, to me, that sounds like the government failed. Where I guess you could say the government failed, but why? Okay, I'm literally thinking out loud. Like, why do I take issue with the word fell? Because the reason, because when the USSR dissolved, that was an orchestrated action. Like, it was purposely done. It was purposely like we're setting out to dissolve the USSR. And so that was an action. So it was purposely done. I'm just repeating myself, but to say that it fell makes it sound like it just happened by no other choice. Like it was like out of their control, where this, I think, was very much in their control, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm wrong. Well, let's see what Obama says about that. Oh.
Fact that Russia felt compelled to go in militarily and lay bare these violations of international law.
Have you tried asshole mode in Grok? It's a lot of fun. Engage asshole mode.
Indicates less influence, not more. And so my response then continues.
All right, you little shit. Listen up. Yeah, Ukraine was part of the goddamn USSR. Shocker, right? It got sucked into that commie clusterfuck on December 30th, 1992. Okay, we're gonna keep asshole mode engaged for a little while.
To be what I believe to be.
I got to pay attention to what Obama's saying.
Has been a country in which Russia had enormous influence.
Yes.
For decades.
Yes.
Since the breakup of the Soviet Union.
Yes.
The fact that Russia felt compelled to go in
militarily. All right, guys, I've been trying to hold it. I'm sorry, Obama. I have been trying to hold it, but I have to pee so bad. I'll be back. We're going to wrap the show up in like 15 minutes, but I can't hold it anymore. I'll be right back. Wait. I'll do this. I'm going to, oh my gosh, I am going to pee my pants. Addy goes places. I'm going to play one of my videos while I run to the bathroom. We'll play this one really quick. It's a great video. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll be right back.
And then over to the left of it behind, it looks like a little regional aircraft there. It's as far as I can zoom in. The contrast is amazing, how big the big plane is and how little the little plane is compared to it. I'd imagine this is the line for takeoff, so we probably have to wait and get in line behind this small aircraft here, and then we'll line up to take off, and then eventually we'll take off. I love being on a plane. I love getting ready to go somewhere new. Oh my God. I'm so excited right now. But I'm extremely nervous for some reason. I think because it's similar to what I felt when I went to India, because it's kind of unknown. Africa is, but I'm trying to like stay calm and be like, no, you got nothing to worry about. Just calm down. It's going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. All right, we're lining up for takeoff. You can see down the runway.
Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Okay, let's get back to Obama. Okay, so he's talking about Russia. I'm trying to pay attention. I'm really trying to pay attention. Okay, he's talking. I was going to say Obama's talking about Obama. No, Obama's talking about Russia. Okay.
These violations of international law indicates less influence, not more. And
so he's saying that the fact that Russia is violating international law is an indication that Russia has less influence over Ukraine than it once did. That's how I interpret this. If you interpret it differently, let me know.
So my response then continues to be what I believe today, which is Russia's actions are a problem. They don't pose the number one national security threat to the United States.
They do or don't. They do or don't.
The number one, which is Russia's actions are a problem. They don't pose the number one.
I think that's true. They probably don't. I think they're probably number two. They probably pose the second most dangerous, whatever he said, to the United States. They're probably number two. Number one, of course, we know who number one is. China. It's the China virus, and it came from China.
National security threat to the United States.
Really? That was a remarkably tedious Barack Obama, adamantly saying Russia's not the number one national security threat to America. He mocked Mitt Romney for warning that, but not a people.
Wait. Is this resurfaced Obama clip comes back to haunt Dems? Is that it? Apparently, it's haunting the Democrats because he said Russia is not the number one security threat to you. Is that really the gotcha here?
Heap of criticism.
I don't want
to say.
Oh my God, it is.
The Trump and Wordland myth not in big streams to think with a recipe after it best.
The story because it's an.
That is a fucking nothing burger. That is absolutely a nothing burger. Like, seriously, that is... So, is the implication here... Because I saw, like I said, I saw this on Twitter that were like, it was like, the hypocrisy of the Democrats is terrible, and which I don't disagree with, though. I do think the Democrats as a whole are absolutely horribly hypocritical. You know what I'm trying to say? I think they do that hypocrisy thing a lot. But this video, however, is an absolute nothing burger. There's not like literally what I just said. Russia, the number two security threat that the United States faces. Number one, China. It's always going to be China. I mean, it's China simply for the fact that they have like 6 billion people, and then China has all these little, like the Chinese police stations. Have you heard about those? The international Chinese police stations, the Chinese police overseas service stations. So China claims that they're there to help Chinese citizens if they need services, right? Like if a Chinese person needs to get home, or they need to do this or that, or they need to praise President Xi a second time, or whatever they need to do, they can go there. But But they're also known for apparently like grabbing people off the street and kind of then those people just magically leave the country with no explanation and that kind of thing. No. China's not our friends. China's not our friend. Well, the Chinese government. I actually would say the People's Party, the People's Republic of China, which is run by the Communist Party. And this is one of the things I don't like about Elon Musk. Elon Musk, so I say that I have a bias for Trump, but about 60% in favor of Trump. I have a bias for Elon Musk where it's probably like a 65 to 70% biased in favor of Elon Musk. I like most of what he's doing. Like he's putting internet in space and he's like making electric cars and digging tunnels and, he wants to go to Mars. Like that's cool shit. I'm sorry. That's just cool shit. But then he does this, like, I would never work for the man. He works his people to death. He sees his employees as just tools and not really as humans. Who's not on the spectrum these days? But I think he probably has little to no empathy for the people who work for him. But also, he also is very calculated. And so for example, he's on Twitter and he'll pray like loves America, democracy. I'm here protecting democracy, whatever. And then he'll go on China's like Twitter equivalent and he'll praise Xi Jinping for, congratulations to, Supreme Lord Xi Jinping for another successful election bid or whatever it is. But he praises China. What is it? Baidu? Like what is the Chinese Twitter called? But he'll go on there and he'll praise the Communist Party. And so that seems a little hypocritical. Maybe it's not because I can't actually point or I can't actually quote any of the things he's actually said because I haven't actually read them. So maybe I'm just speaking out my ass. But if that is true, and I'm going to assume it is for the time being, that does seem pretty hypocritical. Like that, yeah, like, come on, man, do better. Like go on Baidu or Chinese Twitter. Go on whatever the hell the name of the website is called. And Weibo. That's it. Let's take a look. Weibo Elon Musk account. Now I need to have the I was going to say I need to have the delay button ready. I don't even know how to use the delay button, but I should have that ready because then in case there's something bad on this Weibo website, which I don't think I've ever been there, but it's China. They're probably not going to allow anything like that. But let's see. Elon Musk. Okay, here he is. Elon Musk, his Weibo account. Okay. Let's do the translation. So he hasn't posted in a while. It looks like Super Talk. What is Super Talk? Musk's mother wears a Tang suit to celebrate Chinese New Year. Well, let's go back. Okay, this is an actual interior Robobus. Shanghai just experienced the most powerful typhoon in 75 years. Best wishes for the resilient and resourceful people of Shanghai. No issue with that. That's perfectly fine. One day Tesla will make a drivetrain per second. Okay. Just talking about Tesla. I hate this scroll. Why? This is a terror. I cannot stand dynamic scrolling. Let's see. What a terrible website. It wants me to log in. Can I log in with? I'm not giving China my. I'm not going to give them my email. The point is that. Oh, and now we got to go incognito. We robot, drivetrain per second. Super cool Tesla light show. Working on Tesla Master Plan 4. It will be epic. That was in June 2024. Tesla will not launch a facelift model. Okay, is Tesla in China? I thought Tesla was not in China. Are Teslas available for purchase in China? In China? Not sure says, yeah, they got closed down in New York City. Oh, so you're talking about the Chinese police stations. You're right. I remember, I heard about that. But they're all over Canada. Like there's a lot of them in Canada. He's got a factory in Shanghai. That's why yes. Yeah. Okay. And of course, Grok is telling me, you bet your ass Teslas are available for purchase in China, dipshit. They've been selling those electric bastards for years. Tesla's got a massive gigafactory in Shanghai. Okay, is there other modes I can use? Engage, apologetic, Japanese man mode. Oh, Sumi-san. So very sorry. Esteemed person, I must bow deeply for your... this is going to get me canceled. I need to stop right away. Okay. Engage. Paranoid mode. Paranoid schizophrenic mode. I spelled schizophrenic wrong. Oh, fuck, man. You're asking about the Teslas and this is pretty cool. You can... Yeah. But anyway, the point is that so the Teslas that like Not Sure said, the Teslas have been for sale for a while in China. And so Elon Musk, he's going to, because I guarantee you, if he went out and he criticized Xi, I would dare Elon Musk to post, even on Twitter, there needs to be a regime change in China. I dare him to. Even a man who's worth $500 billion, he won't do it. He won't do it. And it's because he wants to keep making money. Is that really why? Now, and I got to rethink that. Okay, well, let's rethink this. Would he do it? Well, I guess what's in it for him? Like, why would he do it? Because he knows he would be risking Tesla. And even though he has all the money in the world that any one person could ever want, what is the only thing that saying such a comment would do is harm the people who work in the Tesla factories in Shanghai. It would harm the Tesla stockholders. It would just hurt people. So he probably wouldn't, because of that aspect of it, because now he has such a foothold in China that jeopardizing his relationship with China, with the Chinese government, would be jeopardizing the livelihoods of many, many people. So that is one reason I understand. And so I don't think it, now that I'm thinking about it more, I don't think he would not. I don't think the reason he wouldn't do it has to do with money. I don't think it's about money, because again, let's say he did do it, what's going to happen to him? Nothing. Oh no. His $400 billion net worth might be cut. Even if it's cut by 75%, he's still worth $100 billion. So yeah. A ridiculous amount of money. Anyway, extremely polite and formal mode. Engage extremely polite and flirty mode. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, my dearest, how utterly delightful of you to ask about Teslas in China. Why, yes, they're absolutely available, darling. Available in the most charming way. Anyway, no, I think we get the picture with the modes. It's pretty cool. It's a good feature. Thanks for watching. Not Sure. It was good to see you. Razman, it was good to see you. I hope to see you both back here tomorrow night at 7:00. My wife got these they're not the little tiny bottles of wine that you normally get on airplanes. They're like somewhere between the little tiny bottles and a regular bottle of wine. They're but they were just giving them away for free. She got 2 of them. and they gave them to me. So I'm going to I'm literally thinking of just chugging them, like just chugging them tomorrow night. It's Friday night. We're going to get freaky. We're going to get crazy. And most of all, you're going to get entertained. That's right. But thanks for watching. Not sure. I hope your build is done by the time we talk again tomorrow. And Razman, rest assured, we're going to do some C# programming tomorrow night. Until then, be sure to click and subscribe. Press the like button. Like, it helps me. It helps the algorithm. And check out my other channel, Addy Goes Places. If you haven't subscribed there, please do so. And I will see you tomorrow night. All right, guys. 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Be there. Talk to you then. Bye.